The Vietnam War went from 1955 to 1975. More than 2.7 million Americans served. Most of these were working class. Many were drafted. They were told they were fighting communism, protecting freedom. They were told that they were the good guys. Most of that came from US propaganda. Propaganda is not just a lie, it's the controlling of information. It does not tell you what to think. It controls the parameters of what you can think about by controlling what you see, hear, and feel. It simplifies complex issues into a binary narrative. Good versus evil. Us versus them. Capitalism versus communism. Propaganda doesn't announce itself. Hey, I'm propaganda. It comes through the institutions. Your school books, newspapers, films, TV, military briefings, special reports, presidential speeches, church sermons, and lately, advertising. In the case of the Cold War, it's always the same. America is the beacon of freedom. Tyranny is the enemy. And if you question capitalism, you are un-American. The US public was told that communism meant no freedom, no religion, no private property. Communism meant state violence, economic collapse, and dictatorships. Blah, scary monster. In reality, communism in US foreign policy means any government movement or uprising that challenged US capital control and corporate interests. This included land reforms, anti-colonial revolutions, workers' strikes, any attempts at nationalizing local resources, any attempts at removing foreign banks and corporations, or any alignment with neutral or perceived socialist countries. None of these things are inherently authoritarian. None of these things threaten Americans, but they threaten profits. If a country seized land from landlords and gave it to peasants, that's communism. If a country kicked out US oil interests, that's communism. If a country taxed foreign corporations, that's communism. If a country built public housing, free healthcare, or cooperatives, it's communism. This is not about freedom. It's about the control of labour markets and raw materials. In 1953, Iran nationalised British oil and the CIA staged a coup. In 1954, Guatemala redistributed unused land in the country and the US invaded. In 1961, Congo rejected US dominance and Lumumba was assassinated. In 1973, Chile elected Salvador Allende democratically and the US staged a coup. And from 1945, Vietnam fought the French Empire out, only for the US to replace it. All of these leaders wanted sovereignty, not Soviet rule either. But the US has historically used the label of communism to justify its military invasions and economic warfare. What is American capitalism really? Because it's not free markets. It's not small business. It's not personal liberty. It is the biggest, most expansive, most expensive military in the world, with 800 army bases being used, being weaponized to protect corporate profits. Capitalism, American freedom, consists of private war contractors defending resource theft for American industry, anti-union laws at home, surveillance and suppression of dissent. Working class Americans pay for this system through their taxes, through their poverty, and through conscription, while the poor people abroad pay for it with their lives. The binary capitalism versus communism is a false narrative. The real conflict has always been between private wealth and public needs, colonial control and extraction versus national sovereignty and independence. The binary turned any rebellion anywhere against American corporate control into an existential threat for the everyday American, which it never was. The Viet Minh fought for independence from France. These people were poor farmers, teachers, and former slaves. They wanted land reform, literacy, and sovereignty. They asked the US for help. Ho Chi Minh quoted Thomas Jefferson, and the US ignored them. France returned, and then the US took over. The North was labelled communist, and the US backed South Vietnam, which was ruled by elites, landlords, and generals. Many Vietnamese in the South hated them, but the American news told a very different story. Every village burned, every child killed, every family displaced was framed as stopping communism, but it was actually stopping land reform. The Viet Minh and the Viet Cong had gained local support because they wanted to redistribute land from foreign wealthy landlords and give it to the peasants who were farming it. Who benefits from this narrative? 20 years of war in Vietnam. The biggest benefactors were arms manufacturers, the oil and the mining companies, the banks, the politicians, the army generals, the media owners, elite families basically. And who paid? US soldiers, Vietnamese civilians, students, workers, truth tellers. The Cold War wasn't about capitalism versus communism. It was a war on any alternative to capitalism, any alternatives to empire, any alternative to extractive landlords. It painted these in the mind of the American public as existential threats. But it was only ever about preserving wealth and hierarchy. And it was during the Vietnam War that the mask started to slip.